Hey everyone, my name's Chase, and I am becoming an indie VR game developer. That is a mouthful, yeah, I know. But the thing I want to emphasize is I'm becoming. I am a student just like you, and there's lots of things to know. And the thing is that there's not a path, a clear defined path of how to do it. However, I've spent a lot of time researching, and I spent about a month so far dabbling and learning, and I want to let you guys know what's worked for me. And I kind of want to help you as a fellow student help make some decisions. Obviously, your own person, you have your own thoughts and things you want to do, but I wanted to give you guys an overview of what I'm doing, what my goals are, and if they align with what you want to do, then maybe you can borrow or just copy me. So yeah, first thing I wanted to do is to kind of tell you what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to become a VR version of Thomas Brush. Thomas Brush makes indie games. He is, he makes games by himself. He does a lot of just everything. The marketing, the business side, handling art and all that stuff. He's got a YouTube channel where he streams all of live development. And I really like that. I think that's a really cool idea. I don't necessarily want to work in a studio, but I've considered it, if the opportunity arises. But overall, my intent is to become an indie VR developer. So how am I going to do that? There's a lot of things to think about. The first major one is which game engine you're going to use. I chose Unity, and the reason I chose Unity is because it's used. I saw a statistic. It's around 70% of games are made from Unity in VR. From what I see, Unity tends to be more indie oriented. I haven't really dove deep into the costs of once you start selling games, because honestly, if I get to a point where I'm making enough money to where all that matters, I'll be happy. You know what I mean? So I'm not too worried about that at the moment. And I've tested both. Both are great. But I just found one of the big things is that, and what we're going to talk about soon, is Unity has a VR learning path, and Unreal doesn't. And so that was kind of a big thing, and it's an official thing, and it's what I've been learning on. And so that was kind of a big thing. Is okay, if I'm deciding between between two engines, and one has an official VR development course, like learning path, for free, it's kind of hard to, that decision's kind of made for you. They obviously care more about VR. So that's kind of my first recommendation here, is I actually recommend doing Unity, and then within Unity, doing this VR development learning path. And don't worry about trying to find it just yet. I'm going to have everything linked in the description, so don't worry. Just watch and learn, and then kind of go through all the links and stuff. But I'll show you real quick kind of what it's like. You have all of these different things about doing things in VR, and it's actually super helpful and super efficient. You can do each chapter in about hour and a half, but you learn a ton, and there's basically it's step by step, super clear. There's videos. Basically there's a video, and then there's a text way of doing it. You don't actually need to watch the video. You can do everything so easy that you can just do it from the text. But obviously watching video is great too. I recommend both. When I'm on stream, I'll just do this because I don't want to have a copyright thing from the video. So yeah, that's my first recommendation, or my second. First is use Unity, and one of the main reasons why I chose Unity is because they have their own official learning path, and after learning, you can see I've done I've learned a lot, and it's actually really straightforward, and I feel like I'm gaining progress, so it's good. Another thing when you're trying to become a VR developer is you need to know a little bit of C#, or maybe a lot of it. The most fun that I've had and the most I've learned is from it's called the XR Bootcamp, and they have a free C# coding with Unity course, and you're gonna go right into like a game that's already stood up for you. It's not complete, and you're gonna just start coding right away for a game. I learned a lot here. I haven't finished it yet, but I can just from the first 2 chapters I've learned a ton. And it's like in the context of Unity. It's not like you're going to a Microsoft course where you're learning things that you may never need to know. This is all Unity specific stuff. Really good. An emphasis on the free part. I'll get to this later, but from what I've gathered, all of the coding stuff that you need to know, you could probably find for free on YouTube or articles. This is probably a little bit, you could argue this a little bit, but I feel like a lot of the boot camps that you pay for, I just don't see them being worth it. We'll get into this later, but just be careful when you're paying for something and they want like $200+. You could probably find that for free, and I don't know. Anyways, let's keep going. This free XR Bootcamp C# coding class is good. And then another content creator who has some good stuff is Dim. I don't know how to say his name actually, but it's like Dimlier. Okay, so another guy that I would consider looking into is Learn XR with Dilmer. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Apologies. He's got this really great YouTube. A lot of cool tutorials, and he's coming out with a free C#, at least for a limited time. I'm going to check that out, but I don't know if I can recommend it yet. I haven't tried it, but he's got a lot of good YouTube videos, a lot of coding things, so definitely check him out too. Another recommendation is Thomas Brush. This is the person I'm trying to emulate, and he makes games. He literally makes his money from making games and making YouTube videos. Highly recommend you check him out. I think he is really smart, really creative, awesome. I am using him as someone to emulate, and I've also taken his course, full-time Gamedev. He gets into coding here, but his style is more of, I want to do something, so here's how you can code it. He's not necessarily as technical as, here are the most optimal ways to do it, and here's multiple ways to do it, and things like that. I wouldn't say he's like a programmer. Like, he's a game dev, and he has to do everything. And so, but he teaches you practical things. And so, this course, you can get on sale for like $200. And I know that I said be wary, and it's kind of debatable. This course I can actually recommend. Most courses I don't. The reason being is that, yes, he teaches coding, but he also teaches art. And he also teaches things like setting up a website and like strategies and things for indie things. One side note is this is for 2D platformer games. However, the art, the coding and stuff will transfer a lot of it, and like the business stuff is really good. But my strategy is going to differ a little bit from his as far as what he recommends to do to get started, but I do recommend it. But yeah, I really like his stuff. Another thing for C# is Rider. Unity comes with, or is packaged with, a Visual Studio, but man, does Rider look pretty, and it's really cool. It's got a lot of cool features. It's just better, guys. I mean, it costs like $15 a month, so if you can't handle that, don't do it. But like, if you got $15 a month, bro, like, totally get Rider. It's way better. Way better. Anyways, that's my plug for Rider. Did learn XR, Dilmer, Thomas Brush, really cool. So I'm gonna skip this real quick. We went through your project stuff. So I want to talk about my strategy, like overall. What am I doing? So what I'm gonna do is, so Thomas Brush recommends for the indies, to start a game and over the next 2 years build it. I think I'm going to try something else. And the reason is I lose momentum, and it's really hard to do something for 2 years straight when you've never had success in doing it. And the game could flop and all those things. That's a long time. And so my thought is, I'm going to make mini games, very small games. Make mini games and publish them for free on itch and SideQuest. And the thing is, max, we get a month to make them. And that's how many I'm talking, like almost demos. And here's why. I want to get a lot of iterations from idea to publishing as possible. If you're doing a 1-2 year project and it's your first one, you're gonna have no idea what it feels like to finish in like that really good, just amazing feeling. And I feel like that's something that I'm lacking, and that really hinders people from finishing projects. It's because they don't know what it's like to feel that accomplishment. And so by doing these mini projects of a month, like literally hard stop, like only a month. You could do a week-long thing, you could do 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, but nothing more than a month. And create a lot of mini projects and post them for free on itch. Itch, for those that don't know, it's like an indie, it's like a indie game thing where you can post things for free and people can pay. They could donate, things like that. A lot of them are for free. But it's a great way to publish things without any like level of quality. Like the Meta Store, you have to have like a finished product to be able to post it. Itch, you don't. Also, maybe a one step higher than itch would be like SideQuest. So maybe you get like a game that you're like, oh wow, this is actually this is a pretty decent demo. Maybe I'd upload it on SideQuest. But for like really stupid demos, itch. So itch, then SideQuest, but both if it's good enough. And yeah, so I want a lot of iterations from idea to publishing. And here's the thing. One of them might, after half a year, after a year I'm going to have 12 demos out. And one of those demos might just feel really good. Like, hey, this is really fun. Like, this is the dumbest thing ever, but I'm having the most fun I've ever had. This is so weird. And you give it to someone else and they're like, dude, this is really fun. You should make this into a game. Or people on itch. A lot of people are downloading it and are like, hey, you should make this into a full game. There you go. Now you have something that you can think about creating a full-fledged game for, and maybe spend that 1 year to 2 years. And the thing is, you're not just making a guess whether people like it. You have people on itch who have downloaded it, and You know people like it. You have had fun. You've had multiple. You have a ton of demos, a ton of mini games out there, and so you know what it's like to finish a game. But this one will just be longer. You know, when you're running a marathon, you only run. You don't run a marathon when you're training. You run like a half marathon. Same thing here. When you're gonna make a game, you're not gonna make a full game. You're gonna make a mini game, and then to get that big marathon, big giant game, you're going to then you're gonna do it. So that's kind of like the idea behind it all. And you're gonna have people backing you, wanting you, and then it's gonna be way easier to do like a Kickstarter. It's gonna be way easier to find money from publishers because you have people downloading it and asking for a real game, things like this. So this is the idea behind it. To get all those people to test out your game, make sure you're sharing your progress. I'm streaming everything from learning VR. So I'm streaming myself going through the Unity Learn VR thing. I'm going to be sharing all of my progress for my demos and games. And this, don't spend too much time. If you want to become an indie game dev, don't become a content creator. Don't spend too much time curating the content. Just, focus, get your stuff out there. Doesn't need to be perfect. Just throw it out there. It could be super raw. And focus on building games. Okay? Or VR experiences. Don't focus too much on the videos. I mean, if you've got a ton of time, sure. But here's, again, is just my overall warning of anyone that's telling you could do this stuff in like a couple months. I don't think that seems realistic. Thomas Brush, he says becoming indie game dev will take 1 to 2 years. So please don't think, hey, I'm going to just do this in like a month or so. There's so much to learn. It's so hard. And it takes so much time. Don't let anyone fool you, please. On that note, I want to talk about burnout. So I'm talking about my schedule too. I wake up, I'm recording this in the morning before work. I wake up early before work. I have a 9 to 5, and I learn and I code. And then sometimes after work I'll code. Sometimes on the weekends. It's a part-time job, right? You're adding it onto your schedule, and you have to make time. I also have a family, so I have kids, or a son and a wife, right? So they're a priority. So what I felt has worked best is waking up early. But another thing is like burnout. Like, don't push yourself too hard. Because if you do, you're gonna burn out and then stop. If you're tired, sleep in. Because you'll go longer. Okay? If you're feeling overwhelmed, take a day or 2 or a week off. It's okay. You're learning a lot of complex things. There's a lot of information. Just take a break. No one's judging you. You are your boss. So imagine if you were to look at yourself and be like, hey, this person's super tired and burnt out. A good boss would say, take some time off. Be a good boss to yourself. Some other tips. If you've got someone close to you, like a girlfriend or a boyfriend or parents, talk to them about what you're doing and, say like, ask them to check in on you and let them know how you're doing and be like, hey, like, doing all this good work, yada yada. But I'm kind of feeling a little bit tired. They'll tell you, hey, take a break. You're doing great. It's okay. So these are my thoughts on becoming an indie VR game dev. I really hope that this would be helpful to some people. I'll do a check-in video in the future, see how it's going, and update this list. One last thing I almost forgot. Real quick, assets. One tip that Thomas Brush gives is don't worry, don't make your own assets. It takes so much time. When you're first starting and you're making demos and mini VR games, buy one of these awesome asset packs. Look at these. There's just for like $80. You can get massive amounts of assets, and a lot of them update as time goes on. And $80 is totally worth it, guys. Totally worth it. And you can make so many different things with these things, and they're cool. It's like low poly, really cool stuff, and it looks great. So definitely buy one of these asset packs. Use them in your demos. Don't model your own stuff just yet. If you're like me and you like to learn everything, yeah, go learn. But don't think you're gonna make every asset and then import it into your game and make a game. Like making a game is so hard on its own. Don't make it more complicated. But anyways, appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to subscribe to follow my journey. I have a Patreon. Go check it out if you want to support me there. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, OnlyFans. Just kidding. But yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Be sure to leave a comment, all that good stuff. All right, bye.